Hey, this is Andrew Brown, and welcome to another video. In this one, we are going to learn about environment variables. I just want to make sure we have some fundamental knowledge when we're working through this bootcamp. So I have a scenario where we're going to set an environment variable within our Gitpod YAML to set the project root, because that's something that we will find very useful here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new issue here, and I'm going to make a new ticket, and this is going to be Project Root Env Var. And the only reason I'm naming them short like this is because because it will generate based on the branch when we branch it. Maybe not the best description, but again, you have to figure out what works for your team. So we are going to set an environment variable for project root that we can reference in our bash scripts. Okay, and the real reason is because I want to teach you environment variables and some of the functionality around that. But we do need to set this, so I just kind of made that a separate ticket here. So we'll go ahead and create that new issue. We'll create that branch there on the right side. And I'm blocking it again. I really got to stop doing this. Let me just hit the X here. And what I'm talking about here is, it's right here on the right-hand side. So I'll just make this a bit bigger. Over here, we have create branch. So I'll go ahead and create the branch. That name looks fine. It's now saying 5. What is going on with the numbering here? Why is it 5? Let's go back over here. There's something weird going on with the numbering. Okay, we go here. 1, 3, and then 5. GitHub, what's going on? Whatever, if it's 5, it's 5. The point is that as long as they're doing the naming and we're not, that's totally fine, but it's just really odd to me that it's doing that. There's probably a reason for it. Shrink ourselves down there a bit. We'll go ahead and create that branch. I'm going to go hit that X there. And we now have that new branch, so I do want to open that up in Gitpod. There's a button here, so it's possible that might open the branch. I'm just not 100% sure. I don't trust it, so I'm going to go all the way over here, back to home. We're going to drop down and go to, now I'm in the way over here, over to R5 here, and we'll go ahead and hit that Gitpod button, and we'll launch ourselves a new workspace. So yeah, env var is super important, I mean, there will be Terraform env var, so we'll cover that later in this bootcamp, but I just want to cover general env var knowledge, specifically in Bash scripting, and how we can set it, and maybe how Gitpod can set it. So we are in our project here, and there is a command that I want you to know, which is the env command. So if we type in env here, it will show us all the environment variables that are set. Environment variables are variables set for your environment. I assume that they're all just strings, but generally the convention is all uppercase underscore, and then you assign it some value. Now, is it possible to assign them in different formats? Yes, you can in bash scripts, but generally we're going to try to stick with this convention here. Okay. And so the way, this is how we see all of our environment variables, but if we wanted to filter out specific ones, we could do env, pipe, grep, and I could say something like gitpod. And so now I can see all the Gitpod specific env vars. I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger here and drag this over and make my head a little bit smaller. And so you can see it's highlighting. So grep is a command. It's a general command for filtering data. It's very, very useful Linux command. And so, yeah, we're filtering for that. If we wanted to just filter on host, we could do that as well. Would it filter on the data there? I'm not sure. So maybe we could try my name, Andrew. Would that do it? Yes, it would. Okay. And so, there are generally environment variables set, and I know that there's probably one for this environment, like for the root of the project, because I just assume there might be for Gitpod. And so what we could do is probably type some of the name here and see if we could find one. So if we go here, we go grep, and I can put Terraform beginner bootcamp. And right away, I'm starting to see names. And we can notice we have one here called Git repo root. And we also have one called Thea, workspace root. So I knew that there was always this one. This one is a newer one. This wasn't here before. But in our code, there are going to be places where we want to reference the project root. And a good example of this will be when we install the AWS CLI, which will be in the next video. I don't want to do it in this video. We'll do it separately there. But what we would probably want to do is make sure we cd into our root directory or out of our root directory when we're installing stuff. So a good practice for a Git pod is these scripts run, like when this Git pod YAML runs, it usually starts in the context of this workspace, this folder here. And the problem is that if anything in this installation script downloads into this directory and you do not pay attention, you could end up committing junk files into your repo. So the trick to that is that if we move up one directory to this workspace directory, we can avoid that issue. And so the way we can do that is we can just go cd/workspace like this. And we'll go down all the way down here at the bottom. And then after this is over, we can cd back into this directory here. Okay. And say here, and that's fine and all, but the thing is that if somebody wants to use your code or you want to make this code portable, you will probably want to use environment variables to change this out instead of hard coding that value. And so this is where we're going to do that. So if we wanted to use one of these envars here, like the Thea one here, right? What we could do in our bash script is use a $sign like this, okay? And that will allow us to reference it out. Also, if you want to print out a specific environment variable that you can also do this. You can write echo, THEI, workspace, root, okay? And that's the way you would echo that out. But anyway, I don't want to use Thea workspace root because it's kind of hard to remember, and I'd rather have it just be called project root, which is quite a common environment variable. So I'm just going to undo this for a second. What we want to do is we want to set an environment variable for this workspace. And there's a few ways we can do it. So we do want to cd into that. So we'll say there's a project root. So when we are writing it in a bash script, all we got to do is do this, project_root space, probably single quotations, and there you go. And now that environment variable is set, and we reference it with a $sign. It's as simple as that. If we don't have an environment variable set here, we could, and I wouldn't want to hard code it in here anyway, but if we didn't set it in here, we would have to pass it along to the script. So we could, down below, cut this out, paste this in here, okay? And then we could provide it when we run the script. So if we do bin install Terraform, then it would know the context of this, right? Because it's in the same line and it would work that way. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. Another way we could do it is we could export it. So if we did export here, like this, if we did export here, and then we said echo project root, you can now see that it's set. Okay, so that is another way to do it. If we want to unset a environment variable, we just type in unset, let's say project root here. Okay, and now if we try to echo it again, I'm just hitting up on the keyboard. Is it still echoing yet? So it's not unset. How do we unset an envar? I thought it was unset. In bash. It says it's unset. Unset. Oh, maybe just the name without the $sign. We'll go back here and do this. And we'll try it again. Okay, there. So it's now unset. So I'm going to go to our documentation, just talk about envars here. So this will be 3 levels deep. Go down here. Working with envars. Okay, so we can list out all environment variables. Using the env command. Okay, that's one thing. Right? We can filter specific environment variables or envars. I'm going to just write envars using grep, e.g. env grep AWS. It's an example there. Setting and unsetting envars. In the terminal, we can set using export hello equals world. In the terminal, we can unset using hello or unset hello. We can set an envar temporarily when just running a command. So that would be hello equals world bin print message. I think I spelled something wrong there. Temporarily looks spelled wrong. I'm not going to fix that. What else can we do? We can setting and unsetting envars within a bash script. We can set an envar as the following: without writing export, e.g. hello equals world, and maybe we'll make that look like a bash script. So we'll go here. And we'll go back over to here and we'll go and grab this line here. We'll paste it in. And then we'll just echo out this line, echo hello. Printing envars. We can print an envar using echo, e.g. Echo hello, right? And I think the last thing, there's probably one more that I'm thinking of here. That's 4. It's very easy to forget that. What else did we want to know about envars? We can print them. Oh, the other thing is the context, right? So if we, each terminal environment has its own thing. So like if I go export here and say hello equals world, and we say echo hello, right now we are on this tab here. If we go over here and type in echo hello, notice it doesn't work, right? Because these are independent in terms of their scope. Now we can set environment variables globally if we want them to take a hold. So we'll just say scoping of envars. So when you open up new bash terminals in VS Code, it will not be aware of envars that you have set in another window. If you want envars to persist across all future terminals, bash terminals that are open, you need to set envars in your bash profile. Okay, and that's not something we're doing today. We're not going to fill with bash profiles. You'll have to look up what bash profiles are. So that would be like in eg bash profile. There's I don't want to get into that because there's just a bunch of different types of files there, and unless we need to do that, we're not going to worry about it. And then we're just going to give the case like git pod persisting envars in git pod. Go here, I think it was 4. We can persist envars in git pod by storing them in git pod secrets storage. I don't know what they call it, so I'm calling it secret storage. And so we would do this. So we'd say gp env hello world. All future workspaces launched will set the envars for all bash terminals open in those workspaces. And we have a workspace open right now. That's what Gitpod calls them. There's another case for Gitpod. You can also set envars in the .gitpod YAML, but this can only contain non-sensitive envars. Okay, and so that's where we're going to end up using both with Gitpod here. For your local machines, you'd have to do something a little bit different. But what we'll do here, because we have this one, well, we were going to set that one here. We had it here a moment ago, but we're not going to set it the Gitpod way. What we're going to do is we're going to put it in our Gitpod YAML. We've already done this once here for the AWS CLI. Now notice that this is scoped per here, which is not the best. So if we wanted to do it for each one, we'd actually have to set it for all of them. I don't know why they don't have a global one. At least last time I checked, they don't have a global one. So we'd have to do Project Root for each one like that. And I don't want to do that. So yeah, maybe we will do the Gitpod way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here and we want to probably say what envars this project needs. So what we'll do is make a new file here, and I'm going to just call it env.example, and we're going to just say project root, and this is going to be this root here by default. And the purpose of the project, this env file, is like we're never going to need to set one here, but I'm just putting it in here so when someone comes to this project, if they're not using Gitpod, they're going to know exactly what environment variables this project needs. You should try to, if you're doing a project, always try to make it env.example when you can. And so this is what we want to have, but I want to set this so that it always persists. So I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to say gp env like this, and hit enter. And so that will set that. It's not here now. Like we might have set it there before, but now it's been sent to Gitpod secrets. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back here, and for us to see this take effect, we'll need to restart. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that we've set that there. Yep, that's good. Okay, and so we'll go ahead and we'll commit these changes. So we'll just say provide example env for project for envar project root, provide good documentation about envars. Okay, we'll go here and we'll commit it, and we will we're in the right branch, just double checking here before we push. Yeah, we're there. So I'm going to sync the changes, and now what I want to do is I want to close out this environment. So I'm going to stop this workspace. I just really want to restart it. I don't know why Gitpod doesn't make a restart button. It's been asked since day one. Don't know why they don't. And so that's going to shut down. And I'm going to go back over to here, to this place. I'm going to go ahead and launch this again. And that will be in that root. Just make sure you're launching, or not root, but branch. Make sure we're in the right location there. And so we're going to spin that up there. And we'll give it a moment. And so what we want to see is if that works. So this was in our Terraform. And I'm just trying to carefully read it here if it did it. And we'll go back and just make sure that that script was committed. Yeah, it is there. So I'm trying to see if it prints it out. It might not print out that part. So we're here. It sources it. I mean, we're in the correct location, so that's all I really care about, is that we're in the correct location at the end. But if we set it in here, like in line, we definitely know if it was working. If you notice down here below for our AWS CLI one, which we'll find out in the next video, I set CD workspace and I set it back here so we're in the correct location. We're not dumping that into our main folder. But I think that is good. Installed with no issue. But let's see if that environment variable is set. It must be set, otherwise it would have thrown an error, I would think. And so I'm going to type in echo $Project Root. There we go. And now we have that Env Var that we can continually use in the future. So that's all I wanted to do for this video, but we do need to do a couple things. We need to do a PR. And oh, you know what I didn't do? And this is really hard. It becomes habit, but we didn't put the #5 when we did that commit. So if we go over here, you'll notice it doesn't show that history there. And that's kind of frustrating. There are ways to amend it, but yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do that. Well, I know how to really easily do it other ways, but well, we could try to do it. Let me just see here. 2 seconds. All right, so I just found a tutorial here on Free Code Camp. I know how to do it. I just want to just double check, because if there's like a hyphen, I know there's a hyphen amend command, but I don't know if we can force it on origin. So here what they're doing is, yeah, they have a git commit amend, and then it looks like they just do a force origin. So we'll do that. And I just want to tell you that in practice, when you're in large teams, you're never supposed to use a force, okay? Because it can override changes. But you know, this is your own project. You're one person working on this. I think we're okay. And if we're just trying to get in the habit of doing things correctly, we can bend the rules here. But you know, it is a very dangerous tool. And when you're in a larger team, do not use force. Ask before you use force. Make sure 2 people are watching what you're doing and you have consent to do so. But in this project, it's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try out this git commit amend. I think I would have done it another way, but I would have probably like reset it softly and done it another way. But what is it? Just hyphen amend. And I don't want to edit anything. This command will open the default text editor with the existing commit message and which was necessary to make the changes. I don't know what no edit is, but we'll give it a go. I know what amend is, and we'll paste that in there. We'll hit enter, and it's going to say, well, how do I amend it? Okay. Is it back in my source code? So it says sync changes. So maybe it is back there. They were doing git log. Okay. Git status. What do I see now? Well, it says that the change isn't synced. So maybe I can go fix that there and do #5. And we'll just say added doc for, what do you call it? Added doc for Env Vars and set Env Var example. Some folks like to use different icons for stuff. So like for documentation, so emoji documentation, like a document like this. Say emoji cheat sheet. I just want to show you can do it. I just liked it, like when I saw boot campers do it, because if they had a bug, they would always use the bug one and stuff like that. I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with that, but let's just take a look and see what we can see. Document. Let's go to objects here. And I'm just seeing if I can find one that is a document or notes. Note. Ooh, I like the notebook one. That's cool. So we can go here and, you know, should you put those in there? No, but I think they look nice. So we'll go ahead and we'll commit that, sync it. And it's not going to let us, which is fair. Okay, so what it's trying to do here, go down here, it's not showing us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write it this way. I'm going to go git, ignore that there. I'm going to say git commit -m, and then I'm going to paste the message in here like this and hit enter. And then I'm going to do git push -force. And before we do, I just want to make sure that I didn't lose any of my code. Let me see here. or documentation. I really don't want to have to type that again. Let's go all the way down the bottom. Yeah, it's still there. Okay, great. Git push force. Okay, and so now we'll go back here and see if it's associated. And it didn't work. Okay, so I don't want to fiddle with that anymore. Is it there? Oh no, is it gone? Oh, it's in a branch. It's in a branch. It's in a branch. Okay, hold on. We'll go here. I thought we'd lost it there for a second. All right, you know what? I don't want to fiddle with it. I thought I could do it. I can do it on my computer, but I use GitX, and I just don't have the patience to figure it out here. And I just thought it'd be fun, but it's not going to work out here, so that's fine. So what we'll do is we're just going to close out this environment. We'll stop trying to do forces. And we're going to go to pull request. I'm sure there's some kind of joke in there about the force. I'm more of a Star Trek fan, but that's me. We're going to go ahead and do new pull request here. And we're going to choose 5. And we're going to bring that into main. Okay, we can review the stuff that we're doing before that. So that looks good. Yep, it looks good. We'll create that pull request. We are at, adding documentation for env vars and example. Okay, and then we'll go here and create the pull request. And then we'll go and we will squash and merge, which is fine. We only have one, so I'm just going to keep squashing. I like that. And then when we're done with that, we're going to go ahead back to our Git pod environment. I don't know why I shut it down. We didn't tag yet, so we'll spin that back up. And while that's going, for fun, I would like to go over to our issue. And I'm trying to be good about this. So we're going to mark this as, it's mostly documentation, so I'm going to mark it like that. Okay, I did it. It says it's there. GitHub's been not listening to me these days. Documentation. I don't know why it's not assigning. Oh, the label's there. It's just not propagating, I guess. We'll go back over to here. Oh, look at that. That's prompting. Usually it wasn't doing that before. So yes. Yes. Did we muck with that file or something? Doesn't look like we did. Well, that's okay, because that's what we're going to fix next, so I'm not really that worried about it. I want to git checkout main. I'm going to do a git pull now. I know I'm covering it up a bit. Okay, we'll just go here. I'm just going to show you again. I did git checkout main, git pull. And then we can go over to our source control here and just double check where we are. And so we want to tag this as 030, which will be here. And so we're going to do that. So we're going to type in git tag 030, and we'll do git push tags. Okay. So now we have 030, which is all good. We'll go back over here, make sure that that is the case. We'll drop this down. Check our branches, that's fine. Tags 030, that is good. We'll go back up here. We'll ignore this. This is all bust. And now we will close this environment. And I'll see you in the next one, okay?